The sacrifice of Keoua at Pu'ukohola secured Kamehameha's reign over the entire island of Hawaii. He then set his sights on the other island kingdoms, but out of respect for his Po'olua father Kahekili, Kamehameha waited to continue his conquest. After the death of Kahekili, Ali'inui of Maui, Kamehameha conquers Maui, Molokai, and La'anai in 1795. In the same year, he initiates an invasion upon Oahu Island, which has come to be known as the Battle of Nu'uanu.
Battle of Nu'uanu occurs in 1795, and what it is it's the final battle before Kamehameha unifies the Hawaiian Islands. It's a battle that occurs on Oahu in the Nu'uanu Valley. So what happens to lead up to that story, you have Kamehameha having a quest to unify the Hawaiian Islands. And he goes to particular battles along his way. The battle prior to the Battle of Nu'uanu was Kepaniwai, where Kamehameha did battle against Kalanikupule. And as he is doing battle with Kalanikupule, he's actually doing battle with his half-brother because Kalanikupule and Kamehameha are related via Kahekili. So now as Kamehameha and Kalanikupule are realizing that they need to do, Kamehameha wants his quest for the unification of the Hawaiian Islands, Kamehameha sends one of his men, Ka'iana, and as he sends Ka'iana to Oahu in about 1793, 1794, prior to the death of Kahekili, he is asking permission of Kahekili if he can gain control of the island of Oahu. Kahekili sends Ka'iana back to Kamehameha to tell Kamehameha, please wait a while, your time will soon come. Well, as Kamehameha is waiting, Kahekili passes away, and Kalanikupule realizes that it's his responsibility. It's going to be the best defense is a good offense. So he goes on the offensive and tries to attack Kamehameha. And in that voyage to attack Kamehameha, he encounters a storm and then comes back to Oahu. So as Kamehameha realizes that he hears this, he gets this information, he realizes that it's time to attack Oahu. So he rallies his troops and he brings about 10,000 of his men here to the shores of Oahu, lining the shores, as the Mo'olelo says, from Waialae to Waikiki. And as he is coming up these shores, he's using his forces to try and get and push Kalanikupule into the valley of Nu'uanu. The reason why is if Kamehameha is able to gain Kalanikupule or push Kalanikupule into the valley of Nu'uanu, there is no retreat, no surrender. There's no way to go. So it's either we get him into this valley and it'll be a successful battle for us, which is the exact same thing he did at Kepaniwai. And the reason why, and one of the Mo'olelo says that he gained this insight not only through his kupuna and his genealogy and his Ike through his training, but also through the advice and intellect of John Young and Isaac Davis. And John Young and Isaac Davis play an important part in this picture as Kamehameha begins his quest to unify the Hawaiian Islands, because they bring one of the most fierce cannons at that time, the cannon Lopaka. And through the intelligence of Young and Davis, through the utilization of Lopaka, Kamehameha is able to take the steps to successfully unify the Hawaiian Islands. And that's why here at Oahu, at the Battle of Nu'uanu, what Kamehameha does is as his troops begin to walk up the valley, doing battle with Kalanikupule, he actually divides his troops. And as he divides his troops, he sends one of his troops up to continue the battle at Nu'uanu Pali, or taking them up the valley of Nu'uanu. And then he sends the other troops around Pauoa. And as they come around Pauoa, they're able to trap Kalanikupule into this valley and then continually walk and do battle up the valley until they come to the Nu'uanu Pali. And as they come to the infamous Vahipana of the Nu'uanu Pali, it is now where Kalanikupule and his forces will be fighting to the death. And as they fight to the death, it is due to the fact that there is that cliff, there is no retreat, there is no surrender.
In Kamehameha's invasion of Oahu in 1795, in April of that year, Kalanikupule, the high chief of Oahu, made his stand in the Ahapua'a of Nu'uanu. And this promontory, this first high spot, was his first battle encampment to repel Kamehameha. And there, on the highest point, Kalanikupule had cannons, and these cannons were strapped down with ship anchor chains, so that when they fired the cannon wouldn't move from one side or turn over. And so these chains were used to strap down the cannon, and they were put inside of the pohaku. So today we have about a 4-foot piece of chain that comes out of this pohaku that are ship anchor chains, large links, very heavy. And we don't think we'll ever be able to get to the bottom of that chain. It's so tucked into the pohaku. And so it's a unique thing to have there. It gives your imagination more room to see these cannons there strapped down, trying to repel Kamehameha and his forces, his warriors. They overrun that site. These surviving warriors of Oahu move up to behind Queen Emma Summer Palace. There was the largest battle encampment of Kalanikupule. Today there's a road there called Pu'iwa. John Young, Isaac Davis, who had built Kamehameha, the largest cannon called Lopaka, devastated that battle encampment with they estimate Kalanikupule with the joint forces of Kiana had over 20,000 warriors, yet they fled. Kamehameha is at that point in the valley narrows. And so the reverberation of this cannon, this large cannon, Lopaka, frightened these warriors. And of course the devastation that was done at the firing of that cannon, along with the other smaller cannons that Kamehameha had, displaced the warriors. They fled. And Kaiana was killed there at that second battle encampment. Kalanikupule escaped and was not caught for about 6 weeks or a month later in the Ko'olaus. And he was sacrificed at Moanalua, at the heiau there. Kamehameha's, over the years, certain people have come to Maunala, and when we talk story, and they say, how come Kamehameha named his cannon Robert? I said, no, Robert is a phonetic, Lopaka is a phonetic of Robert. But Lopaka is not Robert, the cannon. Lopaka is the response that these Oahu warriors had to this large cannon, which was lo, the sound of it, and paka, the smoke.
Well, the popular story, of course, is that, and it's celebrated in song, it's celebrated in stories, is very popular among a lot of people, and this is a story that you and I, grew up listening to. But when you really think about it, it really doesn't make any sense, because Kalanikupula's forces were already, routed. Kalanikupula's forces, knew that they had lost the battle. They also knew that there was a good escape route, and warriors were giving the those that were in bad shape a chance to escape first. And Hawaiians are not low. What would cause them to go ahead and jump off a cliff when there was a very wide escape route available to them? But it did make for good copy at that time. We're talking late 1700s. For those readers in Europe and in the eastern part of what is now the United States.
The island of Kauai had proven very difficult for Kamehameha to conquer. Though his armies persisted, they were unsuccessful. It is argued that Kauai and Niihau were never conquered by Kamehameha. In fact, it may not have been until the start of Kamehameha III's reign that the two islands would eventually fall under the political influence of the Kamehameha chiefs. An alternative account tells of Kaumuali'i, the Ali'i of Kauai, who, though successful at defending his territory, considered the toll that continued battles would have on his people. As a result, in 1810, a decision was made to concede the island of Kauai to Kamehameha. By either account, Kamehameha was secure enough in his political position to now focus on caring for his kingdom and created laws to protect his people. One such law was the Kanawai Mamalahoa, or the law of the splintered paddle, inspired by a valuable lesson Kamehameha learned while pursuing two fishermen along the shore of Puna.
But as he's going off Hilo and into the Puna district, he sees fishermen ashore. The canoe comes ashore at Papa'i. He jumps from the canoe and he runs after the fishermen. Now the pro-Kamehameha people will say, he just wanted to talk to them. That's a little hard to take. I don't think so. And if you're a Puna chief, you know your chiefs, you know your side. Here's a strange chief. Goodness gracious, this is an enemy chief. And he leaps off the canoe and he's running after you. Run! I just want to talk. I don't think so. No, run. So the two run. One has a boy. They run for their lives along the shore. Kamehameha chasing them gets his foot stuck. His vavai gets caught in the mavai of the pahoehoi, and he's stuck. Reverend Deshay says when he gets his foot, his vavai caught in the pohaku, the mavai of the pohaku, it's not his foot, but his leg, because vavai means foot and leg, and it's past his knee, so he's stuck, and he can't pull himself out. And when the two fishermen return, one has a net. In fact, they kind of tease his chief because the tables have turned. And one throws the net on him, and he's tearing at this net. I mean, he's furious. The insolence of these common people. He's tearing at the net, and the other one smashes that paddle right on his head, and he knocks out. The other chiefs come to his rescue. The fishermen run for their lives, and they should. They run. Well, they got the better of him, but they run. They remove Kamehameha. They take him back. When he comes to, and they talk about what happened, the Ali'i under Kamehameha are so infuriated, they want to go back to Puna and kill everybody over there in that area, Papa'i. Kamehameha, realizing that he was wrong, says, no, I was wrong. What more can you ask from a leader? You know, the leader goes off in a direction that maybe is not right, pays a penalty for it, and instead of exacting, just letting this rage out for being shamed, accepts the medicine, I was wrong, and comes up with the Kanawai Mamalahoa, the splintered paddle. The Kanawai Mamalahoa. E na kanaka, e malama o kau I ke akua, e malama hoi I ke kanaka nui me ke kanaka iki. E hele ka ele makule, ka luahine, a me ke keiki, a moi ke ala. A ohe mea nane ho'opilikia, heva no make. Just that one law, his one fixed law, we can see what's important to Kamehameha. The first thing he says, my people, first thing he says, e malama o kau I ke akua, care for the God. Whether it's your ancestral God or the God of your district or your aumakua, be religious. Care for a God. Realize that there's someone greater than you. Even the chiefs, care for the God. Imala mahoi I ke kanaka nui me ke kanaka iki. Care also for the big man and the little man, the important man and the not so important man. Care for everybody. Let the old man, the old woman, and the child go and rest along the path. No one's going to bother them, because if they do, they will die. You see how clear that is? If you're wrong, heaven no make. And sometimes when we see how we as Hawaiians, some of these issues come up and we react in particular ways. Well, the law of the king said, don't bother them, because if you do, it'll mean your death. So that law brings peace. And even though Kamehameha went through all these islands and he conquered these islands, at the point of the spear, it was won in war. And Hawaiians and Mauians, everything was lost or gained in battle at the point of the spear, and the warfare ravaged the Aina. But when it was done, Kamehameha took Kukailimoku and put him to sleep. All of the districts, all of the islands were taken. Put him away, and there was peace. And there was peace. And this warfare, Kamehameha brought the warfare. The warfare preceded Kamehameha. And here was a chance for him, yes, to use the gifts that he was given and take it. But once he did the kuleana, he fulfilled the kuleana of the ali'i, which is to bring life. And he put away the God that takes, and he brought out the God that gives. We're going to heal things. He is very shrewd. He still kept those leaders of those defeated districts near to him, but there was an end to the warfare. No more fighting. And if anyone's going along that path, the King's Trail, and you bother that person, you're going to get it.